Imagine a creature that defies death, a being that can live forever. This isn't science fiction. It's the reality of the Turritopsis dohrnii, known as the Immortal Jellyfish. It holds secrets to eternal youth. Join us as we explore the fascinating biology of this marine marvel. First discovered in the Mediterranean Sea, its unique ability captivated scientists. Scientifically named Turritopsis dohrnii, it's a tiny hydrozoan, measuring only a few millimeters. It's easily overlooked in the vast ocean. Yet, its biological mechanisms are anything but ordinary. This bell-shaped creature has a distinctive reddish stomach. Most jellyfish follow a typical life cycle: egg, larva, polyp, then medusa. The medusa is the familiar free-swimming adult form we recognize. But Turritopsis dohrnii breaks this rule in an extraordinary way. When faced with stress, injury, or old age, it can revert its life cycle. From its adult medusa stage, it transforms back into a juvenile polyp. This remarkable ability allows it to essentially reset its biological clock. It can repeat this transformation indefinitely, making it biologically immortal. The secret lies in a process called transdifferentiation. Specialized cells transform into other cell types, reprogramming its body. For instance, muscle cells can become nerve cells or egg cells. This cellular reprogramming allows the jellyfish to rejuvenate itself. It's a unique form of biological plasticity, fascinating scientists worldwide. This phenomenon offers profound insights into aging and regeneration in its natural habitat. The immortal jellyfish plays a role in marine ecosystems. It feeds on plankton and small crustaceans, contributing to the food web. Ongoing research explores its unique abilities for human health. Could its secrets unlock treatments for aging or disease? The immortal jellyfish reminds us of nature's incredible wonders. Its existence challenges our understanding of life and mortality. What other mysteries lie hidden in the depths, waiting to be discovered?
Today, we're going to talk about something that sounds like it's been ripped straight from a sci-fi movie. We're talking about a real, living animal that seems to have unlocked the secret to eternal life. A creature that can literally cheat death.
You know, it's one of those huge questions we've all wondered about. We think of life and death as a one-way street, right? It's just the fundamental rule of the universe. But what if I told you there's an exception to that rule?
All right, let's get right into it. And no, we're not talking about some ancient myth or a legend here. We're talking about a real, honest-to-goodness animal that has a biological trick up its sleeve that just completely challenges how we think about aging. So, the star of our show is a tiny jellyfish with a big, fancy name, Turritopsis dohrnii. But most people just call it the Immortal Jellyfish. And trust me, its story is absolutely wild.
Now, before you start picturing some giant, godlike sea monster, you gotta get this. The adult immortal jellyfish is only about 4 to 5 millimeters wide. That is smaller than your pinky nail. All of this unbelievable biological magic is happening on a totally microscopic scale.
So, to really appreciate this jellyfish's incredible trick, first, we've got to understand the rules it's breaking. We need to look at how life is supposed to work for a totally normal jellyfish. For them, it is a one-way journey from start to finish. Okay, so here's the standard playbook. It all begins as a little thing called a polyp, which kind of looks like a tiny plant stalk stuck to the ocean floor. Then, that polyp starts budding, basically cloning itself, and releasing these tiny baby jellyfish. They grow up into the classic jellyfish shape we all recognize, That's called the medusa. And for like 99.9% of all other jellyfish out there, once that medusa has reproduced, that's it. The story's over. It gets old, it breaks down, and it dies. End of the line. Simple as that. But this is where Turritopsis dohrnii just throws the entire rulebook out the window. When it gets old, or hurt, or just stressed out, it doesn't just die. No way. It does something that no other animal we know of can do. It hits a biological reset button. And that's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? How on earth does this tiny thing just decide to reverse its own life and literally turn back time? Well, the answer is found in this amazing process happening inside its cells. The sciencey name for its superpower is transdifferentiation. Now, it sounds complicated, but the idea is just wild. It means an adult cell, one that already has a job, like, say, a muscle cell, can completely transform and become a totally different type of cell. For almost every other animal, us included, that's a one-way street. Once a cell picks its career, it's stuck. This jellyfish just breaks that fundamental rule. Honestly, this is the best way to think about it. Imagine a beautiful, fully grown butterfly that, instead of dying, just decides, you know what, I'm done with this. And then it folds up its wings and turns right back into a caterpillar, ready to start its life all over again. That is exactly what this jellyfish does. It's just mind-bending. So here's how that loop works. The adult jellyfish, the medusa, feels some stress. It then pulls all its cells inward, turning itself back into this little cyst-like blob. That blob sinks down, reattaches to the seafloor, and grows into a brand new polyp colony. And that new colony starts popping off new, genetically identical jellyfish. The whole cycle just starts over from scratch. Okay, now it is really, really important we get this next part right. Even though we call it immortal, that does not mean it's invincible. There's a huge difference, and we got to be clear about it.
So here's the key distinction. Biological immortality just means it doesn't die of old age. It can, in theory, keep resetting its life cycle forever. Invincibility, the idea that it can't be killed by anything at all, that's pure fantasy, something you find in myths, not in the real world.
Out in the ocean, these tiny jellyfish are, lunch for a lot of other animals. They get eaten, they can get sick and die from diseases, and of course, they can be killed if their environment changes too suddenly. So while they've cracked the code on aging, they definitely can't escape the everyday dangers of just being alive. So, why should we care so much about a tiny little blob of jelly floating in the ocean? Well, because figuring out its incredible trick could have absolutely massive implications for us, for human science. You can think of this jellyfish as a living, breathing laboratory for cell regeneration. By studying exactly how it manages to reprogram its own cells, scientists are hoping we can unlock some major secrets about our own aging process and why our cells eventually wear out. The potential here is just staggering. I mean, we could learn how to better repair damaged tissues in our own bodies, find brand new ways to fight age-related diseases, and just push the whole field of regenerative medicine into the future. And it all starts with studying this one tiny creature. So, as we wrap this up, the final question really isn't about whether humans are going to become immortal. It's more about the lessons we can learn from a creature that actually figured out how to hit reset. It's an amazing reminder that nature is just full of these incredible solutions, and sometimes, well, the biggest secrets come in the absolute smallest packages.
All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into a creature that, well, it seems to completely ignore the laws of nature. We're talking about a tiny animal that might just hold the secret to cheating death.
So let's just jump right in with a huge question, one that people have been asking forever. Can anything actually live forever? I mean, it sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? But what if I told you that nature might have already figured it out?
Well, believe it or not, the answer seems to be yes. And it's all because of this tiny little creature called Turritopsis dohrnii. You probably know it as the Immortal Jellyfish. Get this, it's no bigger than your pinky nail, but it has a power that is completely changing how we think about life and death.
So To really get how it pulls off this incredible trick, we've got to look at its life cycle. And at first, it seems pretty standard for a jellyfish. Yeah, it follows the usual steps. It starts out as this little free-swimming larva, then it attaches itself to the seabed and becomes something called a polyp. It kind of looks like a tiny sea anemone. From that polyp stage, it buds off and grows into that classic bell-shaped adult jellyfish we all know, the medusa. Now, for almost every other jellyfish, this is it, the end of the road. But here, this is where things get really wild. So what happens when this jellyfish gets old, or injured, or starts to run out of food? For pretty much any other animal on the planet, that's game over. But for our friend Turritopsis dohrnii, oh, that's just its cue to perform its most amazing trick. You see, instead of just dying, this jellyfish has this incredible survival mechanism. Think of it like a biological reset button. It can literally turn back the clock on its own life. So, when it's facing a life or death situation, it doesn't just give up. Nope, it pulls off what you could only call a biological miracle. It just escapes death. Okay, so the fancy science term for this superpower is transdifferentiation. Here's what that means in simple terms. An adult cell, one that already has a specific job, can completely change and become a totally different type of cell. We're not just talking about a lizard regrowing its tail here. This is way crazier. It's like one of your skin cells deciding to become a brain cell. I mean, that's the level of biological wizardry we're dealing with. So here's how it all goes down. The adult jellyfish, the medusa, is in trouble. It sinks to the ocean floor. Its body, the bell, and tentacles, it all starts to break down. And this is the amazing part, instead of just rotting, its cells get together, they regroup, and they completely transform all the way back into its baby polyp form. And from there, it just starts its life all over again. Unbelievable. Now, this is more than just a cool nature fact. This jellyfish's unique ability, it could be a huge deal for human science and medicine. And this really shows the massive difference between us and them. See, our specialized cells, they're pretty much locked into their jobs for life. A heart cell is always a heart cell, right? But the cells of this jellyfish, they're like master escape artists. They can totally change their destiny. And you can bet that kind of cellular flexibility is incredibly exciting for scientists. They're studying this transdifferentiation process, hoping it can unlock new secrets for regenerative medicine. I mean, imagine if we could learn how to tell our own cells to repair damaged tissues, all by taking a lesson from this tiny little jellyfish. That's the dream. And this regeneration trick hasn't just helped it survive. It's helped it become a world traveler. It started out in the Mediterranean, but this little immortal has basically hitched rides on ships and spread all over the planet. Its power to just hit reset and start over means it can handle those long, tough journeys to new places. But, okay, there's a really important catch to this whole living forever thing. Because being biologically immortal in theory, well, that's a whole different ballgame from actually surviving out there in the real world. So it's time for a little reality check. Which brings us right back to where we started. So, is this thing truly immortal? Now that we know about its transdifferentiation superpower, can we officially give it that title? In theory, yes, absolutely. It seems like there's no limit to how many times it can hit that biological reset button. If you put it in a perfectly safe lab, it could just keep repeating its life cycle forever. But the real world is not a perfect lab, is it? The ocean is a really dangerous place, and being biologically immortal doesn't mean you're invincible. And that's the key difference right there. It can still get eaten by a fish, a sea turtle could snack on it, it can still get sick. The truth is, most of these jellyfish in the wild probably end up as someone's lunch long before they even get a chance to use their incredible get-out-of-death-free card. It's such a fascinating paradox, isn't it? This jellyfish has the biological blueprint for living forever, but it still has to deal with the day-to-day dangers of just being in the ocean. So immortality is its potential, for sure, but it's not a guarantee.
So, what the immortal jellyfish really shows us is that nature's rulebook, well, it's a lot more flexible than we thought. It's a living, breathing example of what's biologically possible. And it leaves you wondering, right? If one tiny little creature can hold the secret to basically reversing the aging process, what other incredible secrets are out there just waiting for us to find them? Secrets that could totally redefine life as we know it?
You know, it's a question people have been asking forever. Can anything really live forever? It sounds like something straight out of science fiction. But what if nature already figured it out? Let's dive in, because we're going to look at a creature that seems to defy the very concept of aging. And here it is. This isn't some mythical beast from a fantasy novel. This is a tiny, very real animal called Turritopsis dohrnii. I know, it might not look like much, but it's holding one of the most incredible secrets in the entire biological world. We're talking about a key to a kind of immortality. Okay, so first things first, let's get to know this little survivor. It's not just its ability to live forever that's amazing. This thing is also a world-class traveler with a story that literally spans the entire globe. So check this out. Its journey is just wild. It originally comes from the warm waters of the Mediterranean Sea, but today you can find it all over the place. We're talking as far away as Panama, off the coast of Florida, even in the waters of Japan. It's a total globe-trotter. So how did a creature this small manage to conquer the world's oceans? Well, the most likely answer is that it just hitched a ride. It's thought to have traveled in the ballast water tanks of huge cargo ships, spreading from port to port like a silent, tiny passenger on our own trade routes. And that right there brings up the really big question. Just surviving those long, stressful trips is an incredible feat all on its own. It kind of hints that there's something super resilient baked into its biology, which brings us right to the heart of its secret. All right, now we're getting to the really cool part, the science. We're about to unlock the cellular magic that lets this jellyfish do what sounds absolutely impossible. Literally turn back its own biological clock whenever it's stressed or injured. To really get this, you have to understand a basic rule of biology. In most animals, and that includes us, when a cell becomes an adult cell, it gets one job for life. A muscle cell is always a muscle cell, a nerve cell is always a nerve cell. But the immortal jellyfish, yeah, its cells can just completely break that rule. They can change their job whenever they need to. This absolutely incredible process has a name. It's called transdifferentiation. And this is the core of the jellyfish's superpower. This isn't just about healing. We're talking about a complete cellular do-over. An adult cell can literally become a totally different kind of cell. So let me break down how this works. Say an adult jellyfish gets hurt. Instead of just dying, its cells kick off this process. So you have an adult cell, let's say it's a muscle cell. Then that cell reverts back to a more basic, almost baby-like stem cell state. And from there, it can grow up all over again and become a completely new type of cell, regenerating the whole organism. It's like a Lego castle breaking itself down into individual bricks and then rebuilding itself into a spaceship. So a tiny jellyfish can do a magic trick with its cells. Okay, cool, but why should we care? Well, this is where the story shifts from just a cool fact about nature to something that could literally change the world for us. And I'm not just being dramatic here. The entire scientific community is buzzing about this. Why? Because being able to reprogram adult cells is basically the holy grail of medical research. And this little jellyfish is giving us a natural blueprint for how to do it. So what could we do with this? The implications are just huge, especially for stem cell research. If we can really understand and maybe even copy this process, well, we could potentially develop ways to replace human tissues that have been damaged by disease or injury. Think about things like heart attacks, Alzheimer's, or diabetes. It's revolutionary. So the takeaway here is actually pretty simple, but it's also incredibly profound. This tiny, unassuming little creature just floating around in the ocean might be holding a secret that could one day completely change what's possible for human health. And it really leaves you with a final thought to chew on. We're always looking out to the stars for big answers, right?
But sometimes the most groundbreaking discoveries are waiting for us right here in the deep ocean, showing us that the secrets to our own future might be hidden in the biology of some of the oldest and simplest life on our own planet.